Good morning and welcome to the show, Stephanie. Actually, it's not morning where you are, it's afternoon, but it's morning for me. So welcome. Regardless of the time of day, welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's such a pleasure to have you. Let's get to know you because you and I just now have met for the very first time. We got connected through Donna Cravata's Real 50 over Women Over 50, which has been a lot of fun. Both Stephanie and I are going to be interviewed for Donna's project, but not till July. So we've got a lot of time, lots of time down the road. All right, let's get to know you a little bit here. Is there anything you want the listeners to know about you before we get going here?
Just that one, I'm happy to be here. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, workaholic in recovery, granny
Oh,
to two wonderful grandbabies. And
oh,
then I
fun.
also host a weekly podcast called Hello Hot Flash, where we help midlife women control the midlife change.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a fun
yeah.
name. Hello, Hot Flash. That's
I
great.
love it. Yes.
And you say you're a co-host, so you've got somebody else that you do this with.
No, I host the show. Yes.
Oh, host. For some
The
reason,
host.
I thought you said
Uh-huh.
co-host. Host. Okay, it's your show. Fantastic. Love
Yes,
that.
yes,
All right,
yeah. It's a
what
lot
three
of
word, and I'm sure you're enjoying it. What three words would
fun.
you use to describe yourself?
I'm a Christian, a
Okay.
friend, and a creative.
And a creative. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that
Yeah.
creative is not just, and now it's a noun too. Like you described yourself as
Mhm.
a creative. And I love that word when
Yeah.
I think of myself as well. That's great. Those are wonderful words that begin to paint this beautiful picture of who you are. Two truths and a lie. Have you ever played this before? Do you know how this works?
I have played this before.
Okay. Good. Okay. Hit me.
It's kind of sad that it's easy for me to come up with the lie real
Oh,
quick.
no. All right, let's go.
All right. Oh, you want me to give you two truths and a lie?
No,
Okay.
yeah, give me
First
all
one.
three. Let me give you all three.
Okay, all three. All right. My face has been on multiple billboards. I am the voice of the baby on Gracie's Corner, and
Ooh,
I have had a role in many television commercials.
oh my gosh. TV commercials. Well, this is interesting because these are um all centered around sort of the performing arts. Your
Mm,
face has been on billboards, you're the voice of the baby on Gracie's Corner, you've been in multiple this is a tough one because they're since they are all so similar in that same sort of genre, it's like how do I discern which one might not be um that might not be true. I'm going to go with the voice of baby on Gracie's Corner as the lie. How'd I do?
ding, ding, ding. You got it right.
Well, for starters, I don't even know what Gracie's Corner is, so that was not too hard for me to like, zero in on that one. Is that I'm assuming that's a kids show.
It is. It's a kids show. They launched in 2020. And so I've watched it way too much, but the music and the beat and the rhythm has a lot of adults watching it without their kids. So it's a
Oh,
really
wow.
good, yeah, it's a really good show. Yeah.
Okay,
And
wow.
I always found that the key to that game is to make them all kind of so similar that it makes it harder for someone to figure out.
Yes, that's really good. That's a good
Yeah.
strategy. I like that strategy. So your face has been on billboards and you have
Yeah.
been in TV commercials. Is this
Yeah.
centered around the podcast or something completely different?
Um, Something completely different. So a guy that I went to college with works for a firm who does a lot of billboards and television, and a lot of times he'll call, "Hey, I need someone for this commercial spot," or "I need someone." So that's how I've been able to do those. So it's been fun.
Okay, so your friend has got your face on billboards and has
Yeah,
also you've helped him with TV commercials, yeah?
yes, yes, I've done that.
Oh, how
Yeah, he's a
fun. Oh,
cool
that's
guy. Mhm.
yeah, that's just so fun. And how
Yeah,
wonderful that he knows that, hey, I can turn to Stephanie whenever I need somebody. That's good.
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
you're
We went.
game and you're willing to go.
Yeah, we got our telecommunications degrees together. So we've been doing this
Ah.
together since we were like 19 maybe, and I'm 54 now. So it's been a while.
Okay, well, how fun. Those are extra fun things to be able to do. All
Yeah.
right, because I love movies, what's one of your favorite movies of all time?
I have to always go with It's a Wonderful Life. I did not
Oh,
watch it
yeah.
this season, but I watch it every year for different reasons. So sometimes you just need inspiration. Sometimes it's conspiracy theory because the police officers in It's a Wonderful Life are named Bert and Ernie. So
Right.
I'm convinced that they're named after I'm sorry, that the Sesame Street characters are named after them.
All
So I watch
right.
it for different, yeah, I watch it for different reasons every year, but it's a great story, and it makes you think that we really, especially if we live in the United States, we really do have a good life. We may not be the life that we want or we think that we have or should deserve, but we do have a good life. So
You're right. That's a really good point. And I hadn't really thought about it uh, in that way in terms of the movie. You are not the
mhm.
first person to say this is their favorite movie. We're probably up to like a good half a dozen over all the many
Oh,
guests we've had. I would say overall, it is definitely the leading movie mentioned is It's a Wonderful Life.
wow.
So you're in very good company indeed.
Yeah.
Share with us a person that inspires you.
Yeah, I had one person in mind, but I'm going to give you three, and they're going to be my
Okay.
boys, and they inspire me for different reasons. So the oldest inspires me as a parent. He is an amazing dad. I'm like, hmm, did I miss something? And how can I be better as a parent and a grandparent based on the way that he's raising his boys? So he's just a good parent.
Oh,
The middle one inspires me as it relates to my business. He's a amazing entrepreneur, super creative, comes up with some great ideas. He's been innovative forever, back to sixth grade when I'm like, that'll never work. And now people are doing some things that he thought about almost 20 years ago. So he inspires me that way. And then my youngest is super creative, talented, but he's also funny and finds joy in life. So he inspires me in that way.
oh my gosh. That's so cool that all three of your boys sort of touch different parts of your life and inspire you in those ways. That's how wonderful for your children to be inspiring to you. And that's the mark of a lot of love between going kind of reciprocating, going both ways. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Well, thank you for that. Let's
Yeah.
see. And a piece of wisdom. I always love this one. A piece of wisdom you keep handy.
Yeah. I am not in control. The more I surrender, the clearer the path.
Gosh.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. That is so, oh my God, so good.
It's hard. It's
Oh
so
my
hard.
gosh.
It's so hard, but it's so true. It's like
Oh
once you
man.
surrender, then you're like, oh, now I see, now I understand, because then you're not working at it. You're
Right.
not creating the path. You're surrendering the path, and then it becomes much more clear to you.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? We also were in a series on surrender. So you don't even know that, but here is
I
this like you're
know.
giving me all this surrender inspiration, and we just were coming off of a surrender series. So that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
have to go and listen to that.
Yes, well, that makes me think, do you want to pivot and tell us more about surrender, or do you want to go? I had asked Stephanie to come on and talk about something unexpected, but I'm going to give you the option. What do you want to do?
Either is fine with me. I can briefly tell you why I surrender because life is hard
Right,
and because of my relationship with the Lord. So
right.
the Bible clearly tells us that's what we need to do. And I found the more that I pray, meditate, and not just kind of surrender, oh, take care of my kids, but I'm going to XYZ, or oh, help me with this, but I'm going to, help you out too. the more that I truly surrender my thoughts, my ideas, my wants, and my desire, the more he clearly shows me what I need to do next. And it's so hard, but it's so rewarding as well.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
Wow. Can you tell us a time, a story about a particular time of surrender that that you could speak about, that like how you felt about it, what, sort of what happened, how you were feeling, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I think one of my biggest surrender stories is my health related, the problems I had with my health. So in between 2017 and 2019, I was going through what I now know are hormonal issues or perimenopausal issues. And during those 2 years, I ended up at 18 different doctors,
Oh my
two world
gosh.
medical facilities. Um, $20,000 out of pocket. I couldn't drive for a period of time. It was just a lot. So hair falling out, twitching in my eyes, tingling in my hands and feet, just like everything that you could list. And I had done all of the work. Now, mind you, surrender doesn't necessarily mean surrender, sit on your behind and
Right,
don't do anything.
right.
So there's still things you need to do, but I was doing things that perhaps I didn't need to do. I went to 18 different doctors. I went to two world-renowned medical facilities. I was reaching Eastern medicine, Western medicine. I was grabbing
Mm,
a hold of all of these other things to fix what was going on in my body because that's natural. That's what you do.
right, right, right.
You should take care of your body. You should go to the doctor. But there was a point where I had to. There's in the Bible, it talks about Hezekiah who turns his face to the wall, out in prayer, and then the Lord grants him 15 more years to live. So it's like there was this point, and it was part of his surrender. He told, Lord, I've been a good Christian. I've done this. I've done that. Now I'm surrendering and asking you to keep me alive. And it feels like when I did that, stopped doing all of the stuff and basically said, Lord, you know what my next steps are. I don't feel like this is going to lead to death. But I also don't want it to lead to me being like confined or restricted in mobility and so forth.
Right.
I'm surrendering all of this to you. Now you tell me which doctor I need to go to, and you tell me if I just need to sit and wait and pray and fast and do whatever else I need to do. So when I started changing the conversation from hey, let's go here. And oh, I found this doctor on Google. And hey, calling a friend. Hey, have you ever had this symptom? Who did you go see? When I changed all those conversations to relaxing, surrendering, and being quiet enough to listen, that's when I started to see that my health started to change. And that's when I
Oh.
started to my healing came about as a result of that.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So
Yeah.
in a sense, not fighting it. And there's that sort of the fine line because like you're saying, you do have to take care of yourself and you do have to be proactive and there are steps you have to take, but you kind of were approaching it in a very different way. Your intention became just you pivoted just enough to where you were open to what the next steps were and you weren't kind of like you said you weren't like grabbing and
Mhm.
so that almost paints a picture of like a little bit of anxiousness or a little bit of
Mhm. A lot of bit
panic
of,
or yeah,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
a lot of bit of.
Yeah, right, that's just so interesting that shift made such a huge difference. The way that you describe that is very impactful, being
Yeah,
able to do it that way.
yeah, it is. There's a story I just thought about. So part of that shift, as I mentioned, it was like, okay, Lord, I need to hear from you if I need to do X, Y, Z, but I'm still going to go to the doctor and so forth. So my husband was off work at that time. My baby son was a senior in high school, so there was flexibility my with people taking me to my doctor's appointment. I'll just say
Right.
that. But for some reason, no one could take my. I had a girlfriend who had total flexibility at work. She was taking me to doctor's appointment. Like no one could take me. And I ended up calling a lady from a church who was actually a prayer partner at that time. And she came to my house and we made the plans for, her driving me like an hour and a half away. And we both sat there and she's like, I don't know if you're supposed to go. I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to go either. But she said, but we're going to go. And I said, okay, we're going to go. But it was my point of surrender. So part of my prayer became, Lord, if I'm not supposed to go, I can't hear it. I don't know. So I'm going to do it. And you're going to have to stop me from going. The state of Ohio shut down that day. It was
Oh,
at least Northeast Ohio, like you could not get out of your driveway because of the snow. They were telling you to stay off the roads. There was no clearance and so forth. So I'm like, all right, the Lord shut down the state. Some people may think that's weird, that's
no.
spooky, or that's just coincidence. It was not a coincidence because he knew that I could not. I'm like, I don't want to go through one more test. They're not giving me any results. And I'm surrendering. So I'm surrendering, but I'm still stuck because I'm like, should I still be doing this? Just like you
Right,
just
right, right.
and it was actually hilarious. We were talking on the phone, like, I guess we got our answer. She's like, I guess we got our answer. And so I didn't go. But that's what I believe surrender is. When you make that true surrender, he will in turn respond. And again, you can define it as coincidence or this just so happened or
Hmm.
whatever. I believe that it was part of my
Right.
surrender and that the Holy Spirit allowed that to happen. So
Right. Wow.
yeah.
What a great story. And I really am so thrilled that your wisdom had to do with surrender because I've been right in the middle of all the surrender stories, which has been just a great place to sit back and listen to other people talk about these instances in their life where it's that letting go, let God, if we,
Yes,
could
yes,
put it
yes.
that way, but that does not mean that you have stopped doing your part.
Right, right, exactly. I could not. We have an orange couch in the house, so I always say I sat on the orange couch for almost 2 years. I could not just sit on that orange couch. Like I had work to do. I mean, there was. I needed to start exercising more. I needed to start eating more balanced food. I needed to go to the doctors and get my blood work done. Those are practical things that I think we're called to do in order to take care of our body. But there also becomes a point where um, trust becomes part of the conversation as well. So, do I trust you enough to surrender this part of my life and then
Mm,
trust you enough for my healing and trust you enough for you to tell me what else I need to do because you've seen, just like I said with Hezekiah had done all the stuff. You've seen that I've done all the stuff. Now I just need to give it back to you, which I should have done in the beginning. I kind of did, but I went
yeah,
deeper. I need to give it back to you so you can direct my path more.
right. In a deeper sense, I would say, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I love that question. Do I trust you enough? Because there is a relationship between surrender and trust, isn't there? I hadn't thought about it
Oh,
that way.
yes. There's a huge,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, trust and faith and all of that goes along with surrender um again just maybe not knowing if you're going to hear right. So that's back to trust again. So
Right.
yeah, it's a lot of
Wow.
work.
Right. And so clearly what you went through, this health issue became fuel for your podcast, I'm guessing. Yes.
Exactly. It became fuel for the next whole phase of my life. So about 10 years prior, I'm like, Lord, I want to do something in food. Like I was practicing vegan slash vegetarian, depending on the day of the week. So sometimes I go vegan for like 3 weeks and I'm like, yeah, I need an egg. Or something like that. So, but I had been asking for 10 years, I want to do something, I want to open a vegan restaurant, or I want to do something in nutrition, or I want to help other people. So I kept asking, but I wasn't doing anything about it. Like these courses kept popping up on my screen, and I'm like, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. So when I got sick, part of what I think kept me in that space so long of being ill, and part of what got me out of that space of being ill, is that there was a purpose behind there. So
Ah,
I so if I had had the perimenopausal symptoms for 3, 4 months, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, because I would have gotten
mm,
better, moved on, kept running my nonprofit, or got another corporate job or something like that. But he kept me in that space for almost 2 months. So I, just being honest, my branding story was created out of it. 18
right,
different doctors were around. Out of that was created conversations like this. Out of that was created
right,
my ability to coach women, and not just tell you about estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, tell you, oh, this is what it did to my body, and this is how I overcame, and these are the mushrooms that I took, and the supplements that I took. And it gave me an opportunity to learn and educate myself that I would not have taken the time. And he
right,
knew I wouldn't have taken the time in order for me to get to where he needed me to be. So yes, the reason Hello Hot Flash exists is because 10 years
ah,
prior, I had said I wanted to be here. I didn't do anything about it. And I'm not saying God punished me,
no,
or,
no,
you know,
no,
something bad to me and all that other stuff. I'm saying he provided me with an opportunity
right,
to do what I've asked him to do, an opportunity that I was not stepping out on. And I also feel like part of this work is just starting, because I feel like there's a bigger stage and a bigger conversation, not necessarily for me to be out front, but just a better and a different conversation about how we as women are loving on ourselves, how we're taking care of our bodies, how we're implementing self-care. What are we
right,
doing? How are we having conversations with our boss? How are we building confidence so that we can be the women that he called us to be? So,
right.
long story to say, yep, that's how the podcast started.
Well, I love that. And to me, that speaks to, one of my favorite verses, which is Romans 8:28, for we know that God causes all things to work for good. And this is one of the things that you went through that didn't feel very good at the time, but
Yeah,
he used it for good to go out and help other women because, I think we're talking about it more, the whole menopausal conversation, but I think we need to talk
yeah.
about it even more, right?
Yeah, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. So I was first of all, I was in Romans 8 this week, and we have a family group chat, and there was a verse that one person sends a verse every morning, and then we kind of talk about it. But I'm like, you guys need to read the whole chapter of Romans 8 this week, because I said for some reason it's all yellow. I highlighted the whole chapter. I hadn't been in there a while. So thank you for bringing that up.
Oh,
I
yeah.
totally forgot what I was going to say though. Something really good. No, I'm just joking.
No, no,
But
everything you've said is really good.
yeah, I'm just teasing about saying it was really good. Something about him bringing all things together. I'll think of it in a minute, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Romans
And
8 is good.
right. And the fact that your branding story was created out of this, and now you are helping so many people. He helped you help yourself, and now you
Yes.
get to help others. And I imagine through the podcast, through coaching, that you have been able to really be helpful. And isn't that there's when we're able to help others, when we're able to serve others, there's something so fulfilling and joyous about that, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
what
And
you've personally been through and being able to, lend a hand to somebody who
yeah.
needs it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
And I
supposed to
love
have a service.
exactly, exactly. And I like that you said how we are building confidence because that's something we like to talk about on this show. And I don't think that and that's another thing, even though confidence conjures up way different images than menopause, I don't know
Yeah.
that we talk about that enough either, because I think sometimes the very people that need confidence don't realize they need confidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. That makes perfect sense. And I think there's a direct alignment between your perimenopausal symptoms and your somewhat lack of confidence, because
Mm,
think with confidence, you become more bold when you go in that doctor's office. So you're asking the right questions. You're not letting them ignore you, walk out of the room, and so forth. You're more confident in your speak. Confidence is also bold conversation. So as women, we have a lot of stress. Sometimes that stress is because we're afraid to speak our mind or use our voice.
Yes,
I'm not saying you need to be, smart, loud, and obnoxious. I'm just saying
right.
you need to have these bold conversations with people, and a lot of times that's lack of confidence. So that was a barrier for me. Some actually the same person that was supposed to drive me to Cleveland told me that one time, but when she said that about my confidence, the Holy Spirit had already told me, so it resonated with me. So that was something I started to work on. So I had a couple of people that were when I was sick, I had sciatic pain the entire time, and I had pain in my shoulders. I couldn't turn my neck left or right. That was one of the
Oh
reasons
my
I
gosh.
chose to stop driving. So I would like drive and kind of move my body from the side to side. Well, when I had a bold conversation with someone super respectful, it's totally changed the relationship. I did this with a couple of people and changed all the relationships. My pain in my neck
Oh.
started to subside. My sciatic pain went away. And now if I feel any of that, I can stop and think, oh, what's going on? Do I need to have a conversation with someone? Is it me? Am I lacking confidence in this area? Am I
Mhm.
stressed out? And then like breathe into it, pray about it, and it's going away. It's like not sitting there for
Wow.
6 months and so forth. So it's confidence and your perimenopausal symptoms, specifically stress, anxiety, depression, all of those,
Mhm.
that like root of those is a lot of times confidence. You need to be confident enough to speak up for yourself, confident enough to say that you need self-care, confident enough to say that your words or your actions are hurting me and causing me stress and making my menopause worse and so forth. So it's this whole trickle down.
Oh my gosh. It's everything you're saying is really just these nuggets, just these beautiful, just a lot of goodness, so much goodness here. And I love how you are, talking about the self-care, and if you are taking good care of yourself and you are willing to take that risk and have those bold conversations, you do create more space within yourself to feel confident. And again, I love too how you said respectful. It's respectful. We're not talking
Yes.
about cockiness or arrogance or ego or pride. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about just being the fullness of who you are in that moment, taking responsibility, being accountable to yourself and saying, hey, this is a conversation I need to have. This is what's on my mind. This is what's happening. And let's tackle this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's not always easy.
No, it
Yeah,
is
no.
no.
Yeah. I recorded an episode like right before we got on here. I think it's 125 maybe. But and I talk about that, like having a bold conversation requires a strategy. So before you have that conversation, think, is it that person or maybe it's you? Because a lot of times I've wanted to have bold conversations. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm the cause of that. And then also like, I should probably shut up.
No,
So
that's
also
good.
yeah, yeah, you have to think about this and then mapping out the conversation. Oh, I know this person and they're going to say this. So let me think ahead of time what I will say in response. So I'm not blaming them. I'm owning my
Uh,
part of it and then moving forward. And then even setting like a time or a day for you to have that conversation, I think is really huge as well. Blindsiding someone like, hey, let's talk right now, or I need to talk to you right now about
yeah,
this, that it puts you on the defense. Like you're like, wait, what did I do? And I'm coming right back at you. So I think there's a strategy in having these types of bold conversations with people, but it's worth it in the end.
absolutely. The strategy, mapping it out and almost making like, is this a good time to talk? And if it's not, when is a good time to talk? Just really strategizing the whole thing so that you feel really empowered and full of confidence, back to confidence, to
Mhm.
be able to have the conversation, express your needs, get some feedback, collaborate with that person, and come up with a plan and move forward. Well, I can see that your guests and your audience are very blessed to have you at the helm, helping them through all of this. And I really did not have it. I mean, yes, there's a little bit of a clue that your podcast is called Hello Hot Flash, but we've not really had a conversation about all of this. So this has been absolutely delightful. Is there anything else that you want to say as we wrap up here?
No, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to share. I always love to have these types of conversations, and I really love when I can. A lot of times I talk about, oh, I ate this or I exercised that way, but when I can tell what really got me healed or got me to that other side and talk about the Lord, I love those conversations. So thank you for
Yeah.
allowing me to do that as well.
Absolutely. And that the whole point of our show is to show up as you. I would never
Mhm.
want you to think that, oh, I have to say this or do that or not say this or not. Do you know what I mean? Just know
Yeah,
you come as
yeah,
you and let's talk about you.
yeah.
That's just beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. What a pleasure this has been. I look forward to continued conversations down the road.
Thank you.